everyone, and welcome to Change Your Thinking, Change Your Body. Today, my guest expert is Rena Greenberg. Hi, Rena.
Hi, Lucia.
How are you?
Great. It's good to be here. Thank you.
It's so good to see you, and I know, and we've got lots to talk about. So let me quickly dive into what you do, what you bring to the world, and everything that you've earned here. There's a lot on this bio that I really, I'm so excited to read it for everyone. So, and bear with me with the reading. I had to put the teeth in. People are going to say she lost her teeth. No, I didn't lose my teeth. So Rena Greenberg's success with weight loss hypnosis and gastric bypass hypnosis has been featured in over 160 news stories, including USA Today, Women's World Magazine, The Doctor's Show, CNN, Fox TV, Good Morning America, and ABC TV Nightline, including her own show on PBS. Wow, that was quite impressive, darling. Rena's wellness program has been reviewed and sponsored in 75 hospitals and 100 major corporations, actually 100 plus major corporations, including Disney World and AT&T since 1990. Hay House author Rena Greenberg works with people all over the world providing corporate seminars. She also conducts private hypnotherapy and coaching sessions on Skype and face-to-face in Florida, specializing in emotional health, weight loss, and achieving goals. Wow, that's quite an impressive bio. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia.
Yeah. And you're in Florida right now?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, but everybody's going to hear that you're a New Yorker at heart with me. You're in Florida, I'm in California, but we're going to bring in the accent. Okay? I'm so glad to have you here and everything that you bring to the world. It's so interesting, like all the diversity that everyone's bringing here in terms of how we even look at this summit's topic, change your thinking, change your body. So tell us, how did you get into your work?
Yeah, thanks, Lucia. Well, back when I was in New York, I was living a very fast-paced lifestyle. I was working in fashion and entertainment, and it was go, 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 fun, 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 like New York is. And then I also worked in travel, and quite mysteriously, out of the blue, in my early 20s, I started to feel sick, didn't know what was going on. And then by my mid 20s, I knew there was something definitely very wrong. But it wasn't until the age of 26 that I actually just walked into the ER at Brooklyn's Methodist Hospital, expecting to be discharged because no one had found anything wrong with me. And to my surprise, instead, I was whisked in, admitted, I was put right into cardiac care, hooked up to everything.
Ouch.
And the doctors told me that I was really literally alive by a miracle, that my heart rate was beating at 30 beats per minute and irregular. And the chief of cardiology was called in to take a look. He did a test of my heart, and he said to me that I had the heart of an 80-year-old.
Oh my goodness. At 20, what were you?
26.
26 and at heart of an 80-year-old. Oh my God, I'm sure you were, Go ahead, go on with your story.
Exactly, I was. And so, and in the hospital 3 weeks, my stay was quite an adventure. I actually had a heart attack in the hospital.
Oh my God.
Then they put a permanent pacemaker in my heart. So I left the hospital with a permanent pacemaker in my heart. And I just realized, when I went back on the streets of New York and I looked up at the sky and I realized, oh my God, I've been given a second chance. I'm still alive. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I realized it was the wake-up call.
Yeah.
It was a wake-up call, and I was determined not to go back to my old way of living, even though when the doctors came in and they did the history, and I told them, well, I lead a very fast-paced lifestyle. I'm not eating well. I eat a lot of sugar, a lot of junk. I'm on the go. I'm exercising all the time. I was telling them about like pretty much an unhealthy lifestyle, and they negated all of it. They said that has absolutely nothing to do with what happened here. We don't know why your heart rate is slow, but we can tell you for sure it has nothing to do with food and lifestyle.
Really?
But your heart knows. And I knew that even if my lifestyle didn't cause this problem, I definitely needed to make some serious changes if I wanted to change, my outcome further down the road. If I didn't want to just remain on that road of being a sick person.
Yeah. Did they give you medications and such too at that time?
I thank God, no. I didn't go on any medications, and After that, as much as I'm so grateful to modern medicine, they literally saved my life. And so I couldn't be more grateful. I realized from there, from all the reading I had done, even though there's no, really wasn't the internet or anything, but just my own research, I came to see that this is going to have to be an interchange. Like, I'll take it from here. It was like, I knew I'd have to make an interchange in the way I eat, the way I think, the way I live, and my level of awareness, consciousness. And that brought me into the world of biofeedback and hypnosis.
Yeah.
And within a year, I had completely healed. I was back to being energetic and, full speed. And I wanted to share what I had learned with others. And that's when I started. I started out as a biofeedback therapist at one of the hospitals in New York City, the Hospital of Joint Disease, which is now part of NYU. And after a little while there, I transitioned into doing seminars, wellness seminars. And then I started doing these wellness programs in hospitals up in New York. And then I came to Florida actually in '90, and I created my own program in this hospital wellness program.
Which is not something that you were doing, right? Until this wake-up call. Were you on that path?
Absolutely not. No, that's a great point, Lucia. No, I mean, health was the last thing on my mind. Again, I wanted, it was about which celebrity was I going to meet this week? It's New York. And I was really into that exciting fashion. And that was never even thought about health. But when I got sick, I realized health is the only thing, that's really the bottom line of what's important. And when I think about health, I think of your mental, physical, and emotional health.
Yes.
And seeing that there's so much that we can do, from the inside that can lead to a completely different path, in our outer lives.
And I love that. That's why I wanted to ask that part of your story. Because, we talked, but I didn't want to know a lot of details so that we could get that in the interview, so, because I'm always so fascinated by, and I have such a belief of, I feel that things, the things definitely happen for a reason, and I don't want that sentence to become cliche, because I do. I mean, here you are on a path of a whole other, you're in fashion, you're in a face space, and here, this jolted you to where I feel like it was like a wake-up call that we need you here. We need you, seriously. We need you. And everybody's always like, I don't know, how do you find your path and, your passions and everything else? I say, sometimes they find you. And so, and that's what I feel like you're saying here. And I love that because it woke you up enough to not only take charge, because I don't want to just gloss over the fact that in a year you corrected that.
Yeah.
In a year.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's April, whatever, and we're going like that, I mean, a year can go like that in its time frame. But in a year, you made significant changes so that your health was on a different path. I think that that's huge.
Yeah, that is such a good point, Lucia, because obviously, how can you help others to change and to grow, whether it's weight loss, stop smoking, or a relationship, or build confidence, until you really make the shift within yourself. And it was through making that shift within myself, I was able to develop tools and technologies and a method that then I was able to, have the blessing to bring to actually over 200,000 people.
Yeah.
Over the last couple decades.
Yeah. And I mean, and I read the bio about, all of the shows and the significant, areas that you were able to expose yourself and bring your knowledge to. So I think that that's tremendous. So how did you, make the turn or add the piece in about hypnosis? Tell us a little bit about what that method is all about.
Yeah.
That fascinates me, hypnosis.
I love it. I love it. And again, if you would have asked me back then, I didn't even know what hypnosis was. I never heard of it. You think stage shows. I didn't understand it at all. But, again, it wasn't my first stop. Just like most people who come to me, it's not their first stop.
Right.
The first thing I did was I studied nutrition and health and herbs. And it was wonderful. I loved everything I learned. But what I realized was until you change your thinking, you really can't make permanent changes in your behaviors, in your choices, because you're always going to revert back to the old habits or the old foods or whatever it is that you think that you love, that you enjoy.
Right. So I'm going to pause you on that because you just said that's the title of the summit. That's exactly why I brought this to light. Until you change your thinking.
Yes.
And the way, because then that just creates everything else in making that shift. And I don't want that to sound cliche either. It's like the truth. Give it a different meaning and things open up completely.
100%. Yeah. So
100%.
with the old, because see the dieting mentality, because I know weight loss is a big focus for you too, Lucia. And the thing is, with the dieting mentality, you always feel deprived and denied. It's what am I not going to eat today? Well, it's
Mhm.
like trying not to think of the pink elephant, right? I mean, there.
Right.
So how can you think about what you're not going to eat? But instead, when you focus on
Right.
what you get to eat, what you get to do, the life that you get to live, the energy you get to feel,
Yeah.
the happiness that you get to spread, then all of a sudden it's a
Exactly.
whole different mindset. It's a whole different perception. And the best part is, it's almost like, excuse the pun, the icing on the cake, but literally is you actually, I know my own experience, I enjoy food more now than I used to when I used to eat
Mhm.
compulsively and addictively. So people are so afraid that they're going to lose something. And I say that you gain on every front except weight. You're not gaining weight,
Right.
but you're
But
gaining.
that's giving it a different meaning. That's tremendous. That's tremendous and critical, truly, because now you looked at everything instead of that deprivation.
Yeah.
What I'm getting out of that, and I mean, it sounds so simple in its inception, right? And just saying, just change your thinking, just change the thought. How now does the hypnosis come into play with how I can get? Are you going to be able to do that with us today? Like I
You
put
know,
you on the spot and help me, you know.
Well, here's the thing, Lucia. A lot of jokes are leveled at hypnosis, and I understand. But the
Mm,
point is that I really want, I think is so important is that we are being hypnotized all the time. So the issue isn't, gee, can Lucia be hypnotized or can Rena be hypnotized? We already are. We're hypnotized by the media, by advertising,
right.
by everywhere we look when our eyes are open, which is,
Beautiful.
90% of the time. We are seeing images. We are hearing suggestions. We're here. Think about it. Someone could have said
So
something
true.
to you 30 years ago, a casual remark. The person doesn't even remember they said it, or they may be dead, but it's still replaying. He told me this or that. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
influencing us. And it doesn't have to be negative. It could be positive, but likely it's negative because unfortunately we're like a sponge for the negative. We take it in, we replay it and replay it. And that is a form of self hypnosis. And so what I
Mm.
do is I help people to change the conversation. And that's what my clients say to me. They say to me, Rita, I was in the grocery store and I went to reach for that old bag of chips that I love. And I heard your voice, not saying, bad girl or bad boy, but do you even want that?
Right.
Because it's a reframe. And then the answer is no, I don't really want that. But the thing is, they think that they hear my voice. And what I say is that's not my voice anymore. You've internalized it. That's your new inner voice that's really there to guide you to, what is your goal? And is that bag of chips going to take you closer or further? And when you make that connection, it's not, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't have it. It's, I don't even want that. And
Mm.
that's freedom. So I feel like what I'm selling is freedom.
Right. Really. Seriously. Oh, that makes a tremendous amount of sense. And again, giving it a different meaning. So now you don't have to really fall victim to habit. It was my habit to grab, right?
Well, Lucia, that's even because you have such a high level of awareness. I think most of us don't even realize it is a habit. We think it's our identity. This is who I
Mhm.
am. I'm a person when I'm
Right.
sad. I go into the grocery store, I pick up a bag of chips and a beer or a can of soda, whatever, and I go home and I sit on the couch. And it becomes this fixed identity that we feel a victim of. And what
Yes.
I'm saying is, no, it's a subconscious program. Let's rewrite the script. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what hypnosis does. It's such a powerful tool to rewrite the script.
Mm. And how do your clients take to that? How do they lean into that because of I mean, all of what you just said makes tremendous sense. And I hope everybody in the audience is doing, one of these because I felt that way as well. I mean, especially when you point out the fact that we are being hypnotized by many different things. I get almost cranky when I get the commercials that come on TV, depending upon when you're watching them, what their ads are for and the food. Like it's interesting to me. It's just like I pay attention and I say, no, I'm not even gonna fall victim to, yeah, now I think I want a piece of cake because they just were showing that. So
Oh, I know.
makes
Yes.
a
The
lot of
food
sense.
industry, the diet industry, the advertising industry. And that's the key is remaining conscious, remaining aware, and then making a conscious decision. Is this what I
Mm,
really want? Well, if it's tempting to me, what's going on? Maybe I'm really hungry. Okay, well, let me go take care of that. But
right,
again, instead of thinking of food as a friend or a distraction,
right.
food is nourishment and sustenance only. And yet I'm not at all into dieting. I recommend to my clients, just take that diet, throw it out the window, throw that word, erase it.
Right. Or the definition of what dieting
Yeah.
means.
No, it's
Yeah.
just eating to live,
Yeah.
not living to eat.
Right.
Then you don't feel like you're restricted. Exactly. It's a definition. You're still on an eating plan, just like in every other area of your life where you're successful. You have a plan, you have a blueprint.
Right.
You don't just don't wing it. But you don't have to feel restricted. Instead, you could feel that there are so many possibilities, to eat what you actually enjoy, but eating only for nourishment and sustenance, only to eat when you're physically hungry. And that's a way to retrain your mind.
Which doesn't sound very easy to do. I mean, how do you help me? So tell us what you go through with a client. How would you go through that with hypnosis?
So with hypnosis, the first step is to so I have a clients who come to me, they kind of fill out, okay, what are the problem areas? Some people it's overeating. Some people it's binging, snacking, emotional eating. A lot of people who come to me are night eaters. They tell me I'm good all day. And then, from 6 o'clock on, it's there in the
You're not busy anymore. My day doesn't have my attention anymore. Now I'm quiet, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it really is a habit. So what we do when we go through the hypnosis is we kind of address what are those problem areas and create a new scenario. So it really is helping a person, again, to get out of that victim mode and to shift into a new way of seeing themselves. So really the suggestions I give people are for being empowered, feeling strong, feeling confident, looking and feeling their best, being able to fit into their clothes comfortably. And a big one that people really like and resonate with is just imagine they're sitting in a restaurant, because for so many people it's like, well, I have to go out to eat.
Right.
You don't have to finish everything on the plate. And that's another thing, is to realize, we were programmed as kids, clean the plate.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So now
it was a sin. For me, it was a sin if you don't eat all your food on the plate. Yeah.
Right. So, now through hypnosis, it's like really imagining leaving food on that plate, pushing the plate of food away. You don't have to throw it away. I'm the same way. I wrap it up. I save it for another meal, or give it to the dog, whatever. You don't want to waste it. I understand. But you're not a garbage pail either. So it's really rehearsing being a new way to be. So you can think of it as like a mental rehearsal. But the wonderful thing about the subconscious part of the mind is it doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. And I love that.
Yeah.
So science has really even backed that up. I love this particular study where they took 3 groups of athletes. One was practicing every day, either on the court or the field, practicing their sport. And the other group, the second group, didn't practice at all. The third group was to spend 20 minutes a day just practicing in their mind, imagining getting the balls in the basket, getting the ball over the net with the tennis, whatever the sport was. And it was incredible. The findings were that the third group actually had the most improvement, even more so than the one that was practicing on the field.
Wow.
I recommend you do both. But isn't that amazing? The power of the mind, because the subconscious part of the mind doesn't know. That's why if you imagine something scary, you can really be like, scared.
Really scared. Yeah.
Turn the light on, and dreams can be so scary because they seem so real, but they're just
so real. That we have to take a moment on that. That was good information about what the subconscious mind, how it translates things, and it doesn't know real from not. That is huge. So retraining the subconscious is really where you go.
Exactly. Now, some people, get stuck on the whole hypnosis thing. Can I be hypnotized?
Right.
And I say, look, it's the power of the imagination. You're already using it 24/7, even if you don't call it hypnosis.
Right.
So people say, but I can't imagine things. Really? Can you not imagine, let's say, opening your refrigerator and taking out an apple? Can you imagine being stuck in traffic? If you drive, you definitely can imagine that. Maybe you don't have an image in your mind, but maybe you hear the horns honking. Maybe you feel the frustration. And that's, all day long, we're imagining these scenarios, but most of the time, what we're thinking is not for our greater good. It's causing us to feel more stress, more upset, more insecurity, or more shame. And instead, when we change the mental movie, we just switch out that DVD. And then all of a sudden, we can start to see ourselves calm, confident, peaceful, empowered, and most importantly, taking action steps to reach our goals. So if the goal is to drop those 10 pounds, or if it's 100 pounds, it's to keep going on the road that's going to take you there. Because too many people are like, I lost 15 pounds, but then I went in a plateau for a week, so I just went back. As if,
Mm-hmm.
in other areas of your life, would you go back to, if you were going for your PhD and, you didn't do well in one particular course, would you just, scrap the whole thing?
Right. Or traveling. You just travel and you go, oh, the road's closed, gotta go home. And not
Exactly.
instead of finding another way around. Yeah, I know. And we can, we all nod like bobbleheads, like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Because I know that the emotion comes up from the memory or the belief pattern that you have. I know it comes up and it triggers a part of me loves the trigger, because when I was starting to pay attention to why I have this belief pattern and why I'm so set in, to be honest with you, clean everything on your plate, that was huge, ingrained in me,
Yeah.
that it was a sin to throw away anything.
Yeah.
And so I remembered one of my clients said to me, well, if I throw it in the garbage or I eat it, it's still gone. And I was like, yeah, like she said that. And I was like, yes, that's brilliant. That is because my head, my parents, it had to go through your body for it not to have been a waste.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff I needed to deal with. So coming and laying out that belief patterns that I had really was significant, so that every time it came up, I said, oh, here it is again. Okay, how can I reframe this? How can I change that thinking, give it a different meaning? And I was able to. I went into my story about how they were, my parents grew up in the Depression. I get it. But they didn't teach me that, I didn't hear that story. I just heard, you got food, don't you waste it, you eat it, it's a sin. Which makes sense why they said that to me. They loved me, right? They paid a price for me.
Right.
We didn't talk about it beyond that,
Right.
beyond what I had framed it up like,
Yeah, so their intentions were good, but
Exactly.
unfortunately the end result is you never learn to trust yourself around food. And the body
Absolutely.
has an innate wisdom that tells you when to eat, when to stop eating, how much to eat, which foods to cut back on, which foods to avoid. That wisdom is always there. But then when you bypass it for so long,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you don't even hear that wisdom anymore. But the good news is that wisdom is with us in every moment. And part of what I do with hypnosis is I help people to connect to the heart, to the inner wisdom, so that they don't feel so much. So many of us struggling with weight and with food issues and food addiction get so beaten down. I feel so
Yeah.
bad. How come I do this? What's wrong with me?
Right.
And instead, it's realizing that, just like you said, you're actually a very good learner. You were taught to finish everything on the plate. You were
Yeah.
taught to have some cookies and milk that make you feel better. And now, through hypnosis, which is the tool that I use, is a way to change that old program
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't have to do that anymore. It's like you can
Yeah.
wake up and make a new choice.
No, it is an excellent point, because that was, the gift I gave myself, to just say, okay, I get why they said that. I get where I'm coming from with that. And they were icons in my life. So of course I was going to listen to them.
Right.
So again, when you know better, you do better. And so I needed to make myself smart with that. And things still come up. We laugh about, I remember the first time I made an egg white omelet before. Now they're in every carton, you can get that. I made an egg white omelet. So I do the egg, and I have the egg yolk and I'm ready to throw it out, and I can't do it. I was breathing like, oh my God, I really can't throw this out. So I leaned into what I was feeling, where this is coming from. And it was completely how I was raised. You don't throw stuff like that out. Like we could use that for something.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And it still comes up, but I allow it to pass now, because, when it comes up, we set our belief systems in the first few years, from 1 to 7. That's when it really is, download. It's the computer download, right? So that's why it's so powerful when they do come up. And I knew I needed to change that. I could intellectualize the reasons, but emotionally, I wasn't there yet,
Yeah.
So I love what you're saying here in terms of that, what hypnosis offers, to give that another meaning, give the subconscious another thought, and go with that. So, and then just, I just own it now. Like sometimes I talk to myself. Everybody thinks I'm probably nuts. I throw a Bluetooth in so they think I'm on the phone, but I talk to myself about it now. That's what helps me change the tape.
Right. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's a way that you find just to comfort yourself and sort of be like your own inner wisdom.
Yeah.
You know what it is? We have different levels and different voices inside ourselves. And instead of letting that that scared child dominate.
Right.
I love you. You're not bad. You're not wrong. I love you. You have compassion for that place. But you say, you know what? You're not making the decisions here. My adult or even my wise self is
Mhm.
making the decisions here. And my body is not a trash can. I'm sorry to throw it away, but I am not going to eat it. I'm not
Mhm.
hungry.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that inner wisdom. I love, I had another expert, she deals with prenatal care. And we were talking a lot about the, infants and whatnot. And infants always know when they're done, to
Exactly.
your point. And I remembered this with my kids. It was like, I got like an ounce left. Just come on, finish it, come on. And I'm like, what am I doing? It's because they knew if they bust and, they didn't want the
You're
nipple
done.
anymore and they didn't want the bottle anymore. And
Yep.
yeah,
And the thing is, when you think about with your kids, I know with mine, I tried to hold out as long as I could with the older one. I mean, she was 2 before she tasted any processed junk, but by then I had my second one, so it was all over. But before that, we'd sit at a birthday party and just munch on an apple when the cake was served, everything, and she didn't know the
I had no
difference.
idea.
But yeah, once you realize it, yeah. But the thing is, the key is, yeah, if you train yourself that way, then
Mhm.
it's the way you are. And so you don't even want, you're really, like you're describing with your children, they're listening to their body. If you think
Yeah.
about it, pets, if you don't feed your pets processed junk, they're probably going to just eat when they're really hungry. And even if they leave food in that bowl, they're, and yet they love food. You put the bowl down, they're hungry, they come running over.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to die and I can't eat. It's just,
Right.
and when I'm full, I'm going to walk away, which is exactly the healthy way we want to train ourselves to be. We want to enjoy every bite, but we don't need to stuff ourselves. We can trust the fact that next time we're hungry, we can eat again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because when you get to that stuff yourself part, that's when the stinking thinking comes up again, right? And here we go with the tape playing too. So, if you could give us one simple thing to do today, what would that be?
That's a great question. I think one really, really simple thing, because everybody's in such a hurry and busy, and it's like, don't give me anything complicated to do. I would say one of the things we talked about today together is the awareness, the need for awareness.
Mm,
So set an intention to start to have more awareness. Now, sometimes people say, well, I write down everything I eat. That's fine. But if it feels punishing
mm,
or too restrictive, I've never written down everything I eat. So, again,
mm,
if it works for you, fine. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't say that you have to, force yourself. I would say just start to ask yourself before you eat anything, how is this food going to make me feel? And realizing that every food has a vibration. So again, we're
mm.
so used to thinking, is this food good? Is it bad? Okay, I'm bad today. I'm good
Right.
today. No, no, it's just this food has a vibration that's either going to lift you up mentally, physically, emotionally, or it's going to bring you down. So before you eat it, just ask yourself, how's it going to make me feel? Not just in
Mhm.
5 minutes, but how am I going to feel tomorrow?
Right.
Is it going to make me crave more sugary rich foods? Does it put me back at square one? I don't even care if it has 5 calories or minus 6 points to it or whatever it is. Is
Right.
it
Right. Yeah.
create desire? Is it trigger? Is it a trigger?
Right. And
And
how do I want to feel after? How is it going to make me feel? And how do I want to feel
I
after?
was after, yeah. So you go out to dinner with a group of friends, you look at the menu, and everyone's like, oh, the fettuccine looks good. And believe me, I used to, my God, when I lived in New York, fettuccine was it for me.
Yeah.
But now when I see a bowl of fettuccine, it's not, I don't think, oh, that good creamy. I'm thinking, that is so disgusting. You know how I'm going to feel when I get up from that?
Yeah.
And then if I picture, but I would never, like someone once the waitress came over, oh, you want the diet menu? No, of course I don't want the diet menu, but I'll get, I'll pick something that I know when I get up from the table, I'm going to feel really good.
Yeah.
I could go run a
Yeah.
marathon. Not that I will, but
But it is true, right? Because when you leave the table or you've eaten Thanksgiving meal too much, like it's interesting because we'll lay back, open up the pants, and then have this whole beat up session on how we don't feel right, and I suck. I ate the pie, like here we go with the self loathing,
right.
and here comes that cycle.
Exactly. And for like how much pleasure you got. So you got 5 minutes pleasure at most. And now you've
In the
got
mouth, that's it. Yeah.
23 and a half hours and 25 minutes of absolute pain and torture. So you get to the point where before you eat it, you think, do I even want that? I don't even want that. What I'm going to do? I want to get up from the meal and I want to dance. I want to
That's
feel
it.
good.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a promise to myself that if it didn't have a party in my mouth, I wasn't eating it. If for like the Thanksgiving meal,
Right.
I was going to have that piece of pecan pie because that's my favorite. If it didn't do a party in my mouth, like I instantly didn't want it because I said it has to rock and roll here because what else is it doing for me, right?
Yeah.
So if it didn't rock and roll here, I didn't need it because I knew I would be remorseful later. The sugar would just take off and, la, 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 la. So
Yeah. So you're saying make it count,
yeah, if you're going to go for it, make it count or at least know that. Like I already was in for the fact that the sugar was going to take me out later, But if it didn't, if I made it count or not, because a lot of times I ate stuff and it didn't even satisfy what I was hoping it would satisfy.
Yep. But the good news is that your taste for food changes.
Yes.
And I love that. So I love to, and believe me, I'm so busy. It's not like I'm in the kitchen a lot, but I have on my blog too, some really healthy, like I make healthy oatmeal sesame cookies that are amazing. And even I know the test that they're good because my kids love them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make healthy banana date muffins.
Right.
And so all this, I don't even use sweeteners except for dried fruit, I'm not even using really even stevia anymore, just don't need it anymore. And
yeah.
it can taste, the foods can taste so good. Part of it is your taste for food changes, but the other part of it is using really good, organic, wholesome ingredients. And, you don't have to do this every day. Like I'll make a batch of these sesame oatmeal cookies. I put them in the freezer. I'll have them for 3 months. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, yeah. No, that's an excellent point to that too, because your taste buds will, they got to this point, you can undo that too. So tell us, I know you have a free gift for everybody. Tell us a little bit about what you're offering.
Yeah. Well, if you go to my website, easywillpower.com, and then I know you have a link as well, I think, Lucia.
Yeah, actually, I'll have all the links in the email that they got to click on this interview. So go back to the email.
Okay.
If you didn't already, go get it. You're going to have all of this information. But yeah, I do have a link for you.
Good to know because I have quite a bit of free stuff. But the link is my favorite. I love it. It's 12 steps to healthy and happy, but it's a daily checklist.
Sweet.
So first you get the 12 steps to healthy and happy, but then the daily checklist is a great reminder. You just check off these things that, did I do these things today? And when you start to get in the new habit of doing these 12 simple things every day, your life goes to a whole new level. So that's why I was excited to give you the healthy and happy checklist. And it's also, if you go to easywillpower.com and click on the start now, you can get that.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's so generous of you. Everybody has been so generous to offer. I know, that this is why you do what you do in the world, because it makes sense. Like just even hearing your story and how you got to do what you're doing in the world. So it was such a pleasure to have you on this series and for you to share all of your knowledge and your story. And I think a lot of people got a lot of good stuff out of today. And I just want to ask the audience, I've been encouraging you to, reply and let us know what tidbits you took from this. What helped you move one step forward? What easy thing did you choose from the free gift that you will see when you open that up? This is awesome. I can't wait to open it up myself. But let us know what's working. Let us know how else we can support you, because that's why we do what we do in the world too. That's what it's about. We're a community. We're a tribe now. That's what I call it. You're in my tribe now, Rena.
Thank you so much, Lucy, and I appreciate the wonderful work you're doing. So.
Oh, thank you so much. You as well. I think that this is great because everybody's got a little information of other things that we can just pull in together and really start living a life you want to be living. I know I get that so much. That so many people have said to me in the new year, the 2017 start, that they didn't like the direction of their life. They didn't like the way they felt. They don't like where it was headed. So they were, absolutely on board to making the changes. And so one step at a time, pull in your community. We're part of your community now, and we'll help you get there as well, because we need to help each other as well, right?
Exactly.
So thank you so much for everything you shared today, and we'll see you again, yes?
Okay, yes, thank you.
Have fun in Florida. All right, love. Bye-bye, everybody.